Hi friends, welcome to another Reddit Rev episode. Please subscribe and hit that like button if you're enjoying the content, and please share it with your friends if you can. I'd really appreciate it. Also, please leave me a comment to let me know what you think of the episode. Now let's get started with today's stories.
My wife had a 9-month affair. My wife's 9-month affair started June of 2019 and ended March of 2020. We have been married for about 7 years when it started. I am 42 and she is 40. In May of 2019, we packed up our family and moved to a new state. She started a new job, and within a month, her and her co-worker started sleeping together. I continued my work remotely and was able to tend to our 6-year-old daughter. In March of 2020, she said we had to talk and proceeded to tell me that she had been out one night with some people from work and drank a bit too much and kissed her AP, who I had met a few times. We talked and talked, but I was pretty pissed off. I asked her if she had slept with him. She told me no. I thought that it was a one-time mistake and we moved on. She swore that they don't even talk anymore. Then November of 2020 comes around and the doorbell rings. I go to check on who it is. Sure enough, it was her AP and his wife. Once I opened the door, I knew what was really coming. He went on to tell me everything. How many times they slept together, when and where, everything. It felt like it was going on for hours, when in reality it was only about 20 minutes before I told him he needed to leave. At this point, my chest hurt, I was shaking, and it was just awful. Before he left, he gave me a large envelope. I took it and dropped it, stared at my phone on what I was going to tell my wife. Eventually, I wrote her that we needed to talk when she got home. She asked if everything was alright. I answered no. I just got a visit from her AP. She broke free from work and called me, and I was yelling and she was crying. I honestly can't remember what I was even saying. She never once tried to deny it. Eventually, I hung the phone up, tried to calm down enough to grab our daughter from school. We got home from school. I opened the envelope and it was filled with dates and places they had been together. Her AP was pleading for my forgiveness for what they had done. He told me he needed my forgiveness so he could strengthen his faith with God. He included their internal office messaging system logs of their conversations. They had conversations about how great they would have been together if only they weren't married, recalling places they had slept together. Reading all of it really made me feel like I was just run over by a bus. There are even screenshots of his wife and mine arguing about what the two of them had done. So my wife comes home and she can barely look at me. Had her daughter not been home, there would have been quite a bit of screaming. She tried to explain herself, but it didn't matter. She tried to downplay their relationship, so I showed her the printouts. The more I showed her, the less she could even say. Her only explanation that I could agree with was that we weren't communicating with each other anymore. There was a conversation she had with the AP about how she wanted to tell me everything, but she just needed to find the right time. She said her AP was the only person she could talk with, and it quickly turned into a physical affair. 3 days later, I bring myself to the doctor for some medication. I've already suffered from depression for years now, and this was not helping. 2 days after that, I went to get an STD panel run. When I asked her if they used condoms, she said she couldn't remember. I took that as a no. Luckily, the STD panel came back clean. Eventually, I made my decision that I was going to stay and we would try to work on it. We've been doing counseling for the last couple months, and it is helping. Her and I are definitely doing better as a couple. She is going above and beyond to make sure we both get better. I have complete access to all the devices we own. I even checked her car to see if there are any hidden phones. There are none. Needless to say, it's been a hard couple of months. Our time in the bedroom has increased. Our communication has taken a complete 180 degrees in the right direction. The one thing that has really helped me, probably more than therapy, is that I've been using a journal to spill my thoughts out. In the last few months, I've slowly put together the pieces of how I never noticed they were meeting up. My wife would always be where she said she was. She just found time by saying there was a meeting after work, I'll be a little late, or my yoga class is at 10 a.m. not 9:30, so I'll be home after it's done. She would just manipulate the times she would go to her classes or be at work and buy herself a little bit of time for them to have sex. I would never check her location. I never thought I had to, and it wouldn't have mattered if I did because I would have saw she was where she said she was. Sorry this is so long-winded. It's really the first time I'm writing it all out for someone to read. Since the day I found out all about this, my wife has been trying so hard to repair our relationship. She told me answers to anything I've ever asked, give me full access to her phone and computer, so anyone who's taken the time to reread my questions are, does trust really ever come back? How long do the nightmares keep happening? Is it normal to still have days that it feels like you just found out? Is it normal for my insecurities to feel like I'm holding up our progress as a couple? Am I missing any methods to reduce the anxiety that happens? Oh, man, and wow. Stop. Alright, starting again. I wanted to add some information that I overlooked in including in the original post. Her AP was a pro in all of this. I did get to speak with the AP's wife, and this is the third time cheating on her. I had met her AP before finding out, and everything about him screams cheating is his thing. He's a smooth talker, attractive, and very charismatic. He even showed up one night when we were out on the town, and I specifically remember commenting that he was a player. Little did I know he had already been hard at work with my wife. In the messaging printouts the AP gave me, there were 2 days in a row that my wife had insisted that their affair was over. She decided that what they were doing was wrong. I mean, no shit. And that was all before the AP's wife confirmed her suspicion that he was cheating on her. The AP's wife had found a note that the AP had typed out in his phone to my wife and sent professing his love for my wife and that he wanted to leave his wife. Some people had suggested getting a DNA test for our daughter. That's not necessary. Our daughter is a product of in vitro fertilization. The question of whether they still work together. They both work for the same company, but the AP was moved to a different division, so they have no contact, not even in her office. Her boss had him moved because this was his second time getting involved with another employee. The question of, she was never going to tell you, honestly, I'll never know the true answer to that. I can tell you that I have struggled with depression to the point that I have shut down for months on end, and I had been going through a rougher than normal one during the time they were together, and even after they stopped seeing each other. She told me that she was afraid to tell me the truth because of what it might do to me, and I could see some logic in that. Some people have said this isn't her first time. I have asked that question to her over and over, and she swears that it was the only time. I have gone through 9 years of backed up phone data. I save everything, and everything I saw doesn't make me think she's lying. Her phone was filled with information between her and her AP. Technology isn't her strong suit. You may ask why I never checked her phone or backups before, and the reason is that I've never had a reason to, and I probably should have. Maybe I could have stopped this before it even started. Quite a few people have said I should leave her. They may be right, but the truth is I do still love her, and I have always been one to believe that there is good in everyone. So I'd especially like to believe there is good in the person I fell in love with, regardless of how awful her actions are. I could be wrong. This could all repeat itself again in the future.
I hope you enjoyed our video. It's always a pleasure creating these stories, and if you liked what you saw, please take the time to show your support by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing if you haven't already done so. Sharing with your friends is also greatly appreciated. Let me know in the comments section below what you think of our videos. I'm all ears. Be sure to check back soon for more original Reddit stories every day on Reddit Rev. Until then, stay awesome, my friend.